All right, we're going to dive into this notion that there is something brewing on the Browns about Deshaun Watson deciding at the last minute, really, that he wasn't going to play on Sunday. And Jason, I'm just going to hand the floor over to you. I don't want to mischaracterize any of your information. I want to hear it right from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, it kind of took off this week. It probably got blown a little bit out of proportion. But everything I said was true. Like, guys were aggravated in the locker room after the game. I think I said it on the piece I sent in Monday.
He did.
So, like, I'm just stating a fact. Like, guys were frustrated. And the reason they were frustrated...
Restate it for those that didn't see the original.
Basically, Deshaun told everyone he was going to play all week. He told all of his teammates, all the coaches, I'm playing on Sunday.
And the media.
I'm going to, and the media. I'm going to play on Sunday. And then Sunday came, 10:30 in the morning. Nope, I'm out. Can't play. And I think a lot of this could have been avoided had he just said all week long, this really hurts. I'm going to do what I can. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to play, and we'll see on Sunday where it's at. But as I pointed out when I wrote this, like, this was an arranged marriage between Deshaun and Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. These guys didn't know each other until they met at the altar at Rusty Harden's office in March of 2022. That's the first time that they really ever came together. So they're still learning each other and still figuring everyone out. And Deshaun's toughness stories are legendary, that he played with a collapsed lung. He's played with a broken rib. Obviously, if this guy can go, he's going to go. So when Deshaun tells you all week, I'm going to go, everyone just takes him at his word that, yeah, okay, he can't really throw it right now, but he says he's going to play. He knows his body. He's going to play. And that's where I think some of the breakdown in communication came. Now, the part that I think is getting a little bit probably stretched and overblown is like there's this big rift now between them. I don't necessarily believe that's the case. I think guys were just frustrated in the moment. They got their asses beat in a game that they thought they were going to have their quarterback. They didn't. DTR comes in, clearly overwhelmed, clearly overmatched right from the jump.
And not prepared.
And the game was too fast for him. It was obvious from probably the fourth row of the game, this guy's in over his head. And I think it was just more frustration than anything. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you guys that everyone has turned on Deshaun. That's not the case. The only thing I said was there was frustration and guys were aggravated, which is 100% true. That's all. And I was also a little bit aggravated that, so when Kevin comes out and says, I think it was Tony Grossi asked him, was he medically cleared to play? And Kevin said, yeah, he's just being honest.
How do you explain that? Because Kevin is
it's
so
so
measured.
odd that he said it.
He was just being honest.
Right, but he's never honest.
But he's so measured with all of his comments, Jay, and he knows what questions
he should have
are gonna be
realized
asked.
that.
He had to have thought about how I'm going to answer this.
And okay, maybe he should have said it was a collective decision, whatever. But the fact is, he answered it honestly, and now all of a sudden it becomes, well, why is Kevin telling the truth? And why is he hanging his quarterback out to dry? And I guess I just wanted to come back.
Did you see it that way?
No, I saw it as he just was being honest in the moment. Like,
do you feel that it put Deshaun Watson in a negative light?
Maybe, possibly, but I guess that's why I said what I said, to show that, like, hey guys, like, this is real. Like, Kevin wasn't lying; he was telling the truth.
I know, but
these
to
guys
Bull's
were
point,
frustrated.
He's such a smart and measured guy.
Yes, he is.
He
That's
will
why it
say
was
nothing
shocking.
before he tells the truth.
And whether it, like, the more you thought about it, you're like, okay, he's not going to throw him under the bus. That doesn't make any sense. But if Deshaun takes it as him throwing him under the bus, that could lead to friction between Stefanski and Deshaun.
Absolutely. It could.
Even though we want these guys to be honest,
right?
But then we get mad when they are.
Yeah, I know. And that's the part that I kind of roll my eyes at.
Well, I don't necessarily want to say you get mad when they are. I mean, that is what it is. My thing is, your track record is you say nothing.
Right.
And this time around, you said something that could be construed as being negative towards your starting quarterback.
That's true.
Why would you put any friction in the single most relationship for any NFL team, head coach and quarterback? That's what
that's fair.
I still don't understand it.
And I think he just, I mean, we say, like, he chooses every word meticulously and he never says
That's
anything.
why I can't buy that he slipped.
I think he did.
It's one of the most important questions he's answered during his time here.
And I think he just blew it. I just think but I don't think he blew it. Like, if you want to look at it as protect the quarterback, then he blew it. I just look at it as he's being honest in the moment.
How do you think Deshaun Watson took it? Given the fact of I'm not going to say he had rabbit ears or he's sensitive.
Oh, you can say
no,
it.
I will.
Listen, but he's been vocal about protecting himself and correcting the statements when he
Yes.
feels people say something that he don't feel is correct. Do you think he took offense to it, or after the fact, did they have a conversation?
You know what? I don't know Deshaun well enough, and I don't want to just make a guess. I have no idea how he took it. I'm sure there's a conversation. I'm sure there was, and especially after, what I said kind of went nuts. I'm sure that there's been conversations going
Did
on.
Andrew Berry clean it up properly?
I think he tried at his bio.
No, I know that was
presser.
his objective, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering from your vantage point, do you feel that his answer was suffice, and that if there was any thought that there could be friction, that he put all of that
See,
to bed?
I look at it the other way because I think Kevin was telling the truth, and I know what players told me, so I don't really care what AB's trying to say to clean it up, because that's all it is he's just trying to sweep up a mess. But I know what the reality is. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
I do. I understand what you're saying.
So I don't really care what he says.
I just don't necessarily agree with the first part of that premise, that Kevin was just telling the truth, and now we're going to kill him for telling the truth. His MO is he doesn't say anything.
No, you're right.
And so
Right.
I think the reason all of us kind of went, wow, wait a minute, what did he say? Is because of his track record. If this was a guy who's been completely
Right.
transparent and is known for saying stuff like that,
Yeah.
I think it rolls off everyone's back.
Right.
And so that's Kevin being Kevin. But this was not Kevin being Kevin.
I think,
that's the only reason.
Right, I
think,
agree. And I think the important questions now for the team are, A, is there any friction between Stefanski and Watson? You just said you don't know, and if anybody would know here, it would be you, and you don't. So we'll see.
I think
it's probably fine.
I think it's too early to tell. Deshaun's not even in town right
Right.
now.
Is
It's
it
too
fair?
early to
And
tell.
is that's not unusual?
Yeah.
No,
For a
it's
player
not
who's
unusual.
But
is it fair for the players to have some animus towards Deshaun for not playing? Is that fair?
Yeah, because he told him all week he was going to play.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying, like, I think that the whole entire week probably looks a little bit differently from preparation, game plan, whatever. If Deshaun's saying the whole time, I don't know if I could play or not. Like, let's get to Sunday and see. You guys know I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to do everything I can to play, and we'll see when Sunday gets here. But that's not how he handled it.
Right.
He said, I'm going, like, absolutely definitively, I am going to play. And that's where I think the frustration came from. Right. But I'm sure that, like, we're already. I hate that we're talking about this on Friday, but I understand.
Well,
I haven't been in all week.
If it wasn't a bye week, we wouldn't.
Jason,
be.
let
It
me
was
put it
poorly
this way.
timed for that reason.
There's two different types, in my mind, of being angry at someone, right? There are times on this show where we argue, it gets feisty, and you're mad in the moment.
Right.
But then it goes away. Because
Right.
it's an in-the-moment thing. And then there's the mad where it's like, we got to have a conversation a week later because we're pissed at
You
each other.
come in the next day and you're still
Right,
carrying that.
Right,
animus.
right.
Which one is it?
Which one is that?
That's a good point, Bull.
I would tend to believe it's more the first
In the
Right.
moment.
than the second.
Which is-
it's in the moment. These guys just came off the field. I'm talking to them 20 minutes after they come off the field, 25 minutes, and they got their asses beat and they're pissed.
Yeah.
And I think there's a part of it that's, if you don't have Deshaun Watson, you don't have a chance to win. So those guys go out there, they think they're going to be competing against the Ravens, came off a nice win the week before. You're pumped, you're excited, like, let's go get it done. And then all of a sudden they tell you, oh, we got a rookie quarterback. To
Right.
those guys,
Yeah.
that's an L. Like,
Yeah.
they just kind of knew we up against it.
And remember, in week one with the Browns or whatever Jamar Chase
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
Originally it was the Steelers saying the Browns are the Browns. Jamar
Cleveland
Chase,
is Cleveland.
Cleveland is Cleveland, right? After you beat up the Bengals and then, you feel like, okay, maybe this year is going to be different. If you're a veteran player on the Browns, you've been getting humiliated for the most part by the Ravens and Steelers a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right? And so, especially the Ravens. And so you go into this game, you're like, all right, if we got Deshaun Watson, we're at home. We got a good chance to win this game. And so your frustration, if I were a veteran on that team that had been here, if I were Myles Garrett, if I were Joel Bitonio, Nick Chubb, if I were healthy, and if Deshaun Watson, my teammate, my friend, hopefully, is telling me all week he's going to play, I'm like, okay, here we go. And then all of a sudden, Sunday morning, we find out DTR's playing. It's like letting the air out of the balloon.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm Myles Garrett, I'm Joe Bitonio, I'm Wyatt Teller, I'm Nick Chubb, whatever, any of the veterans, I'm like, we got no chance. They're not living in La La Land. You could say to the media we got a chance. They know they got no
Yes.
chance.
Yes, that's fair.
And so in the moment they're pissed, and then they actually got their ass
Destroyed.
kicked.
yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. I tend to think it's probably already
Right.
over. But as to your point, it's a bye week, so we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
But internally, I doubt that it's probably still lingering. I'm telling you the truth. Like, guys are pissed.
And I think that's the most important thing is that their frustration was real. And to your point, I feel too warranted to some degree. The big question is, what's the carryover effect going to be? We talked about the timing of the bye yesterday. When the schedule came out, we didn't love that it was early.
Correct.
I still don't. When you look at it from a timing standpoint, who knows? Watson may have been ready to go Sunday anyhow. It did give him a little extra time to get ready for what most will agree is the toughest game on their schedule this year. But the reason I think all of this timing stinks is because they've got 2 weeks to sit on that and let that fester, and they can't wash that ugly taste out of their mouth. And even when they do get that opportunity, they're going into a home game in which they're an underdog. And if it festers itself into another loss, the thinking is this problem compounds itself. It doesn't go away. Do you agree with all of that?
Sure, it could. But I look at it as, and I agree with, like, week 5 is a terrible time for a bye because it just makes the rest of the season so long.
Yep.
But with where this team is at right now, your quarterback's injured, your center. Last time we saw Ethan Posick, he was walking out of the locker room with crutches.
Right.
So, it's kind of an important spot. So I think this, and there's other guys that are banged up.
Newsom missed the last game.
Yeah. Miles went and got an X-ray.
That's true.
After the game.
Yeah.
So for that reason, and because of who the opponent is and gives you 2 weeks to prepare for what could be the best team in the NFC, I actually think it's a great time for a bye.
I couldn't agree more. I think they got a problem more than just the people being injured. I think they need to really go back and reevaluate what they're doing offensively. They need to really go back to the drawing board and figure out what is our identity and how are we going to get, like, watching the Cleveland Browns now, it's hard for them getting 5 yards. It's very difficult. Like, how do we take and alleviate some pressure? Because, look, I'm looking at what they got. I was talking to Quincy Carrier the other day. We was on a podcast, and he said, and I agree with him. He said, you don't really have much to go out and get another tackle. And to me, would I move hell and earth to do it? Sure, I would, but that's just me. But I don't think they're going to do it. And if you're not going to make a change significantly and going to get an upgrade for Jed Wills, you're going to have to really, really change the way you think about concepts and getting the ball out quicker and easier reads. Because right now, you can't run the offense that they want to run, and you have the offensive line playing the way they have. Also, you look at some of the concepts that they're running, it's just very basic. It's like when I go back and watch the Baltimore Ravens, and it's going to be even worse against the 49ers, the Baltimore Ravens are not scared of anything. They're playing man-to-man coverage, daring you to beat them over the top. And they are not confused by any route you're running. This is because it's basic. It's just, I have not seen the playbook in which we talked about things were going to be massively different. It just hasn't.
And I don't know how you do that in 2 weeks. I mean, you've had now a couple of off seasons to go into the lab and come back with something that does really knock our socks off.
Again, I would argue, though, that the last time Deshaun Watson played, the offense was very good.
Yes.
They were.
So I think
the best they've been.
I think we need to throw out the last game because they had a guy not qualified to start an NFL game at quarterback.
If he comes back as Deshaun Watson that we saw against Tennessee, I think they've got a real shot against San Francisco.
Of course.